All right, hey everyone. I am going to discuss some of the more practical sorts of uh, things of using your conda environments in VS Code. Now, on Thursday, September 8th, there were some confusion around how to actually use conda effectively and getting everyone set up. We encountered some configuration issues. So now that everyone's set up, I want to go back and make this available generally. So here I am in VS Code. I'm just going to go to course materials for now. You can see I've got all of my repos in my workspace here, as we've seen before. I've been adding these starter codes, and so I'm just going to open up the air pressure one. This is the one that you should be familiar with. We all walked through this one kind of together. So it gives at least a good baseline. So kind of as I was saying on last Thursday, the reason we use conda is because there can be multiple Python installations on your computer. And we want to make sure that your class Python installation and sort of setup is stable and not going to affect other things on your computer, and likewise not be affected by other things on your computer. So this Python script can run, via any Python interpreter, which is the thing that runs your Python code. So to make sure that you're setting the one that you want to use for this class, you would do your Control-Shift-P to open your command palette, like always, and then Python select interpreter. And once you type that out, this will be the only option. You select that, and then the next thing it asks you is where you want to set it. So I'm going to set it at the workspace level. So that's going to include everything in here. So then once you have this, once you set that as your workspace, you should see a bunch of stuff pop up here. Now, for the first case, if you can find #tools, choose that one. If you cannot find it, wait a couple minutes. I'll walk through creating a new conda environment. So now, once you do that, if you go in this lower right here, you can always click this to get back to that setup. But what you should see is #tools conda. This is the one that we created. And once you start running your code, you should also see it say #tools here. If you do not see it here, you will be able to change that by clicking that. This is so let me explain these two things. Down here, this is telling you if you run the whole script with this play button, which Python environment you run in. This one here is saying if I, in this interactive window, if I add code, what Python program runs it. And this and the one over here ought to match. It is possible that they will not match. But if they do not, go ahead and change kernel. And again, make sure you find #tools and select that. That will get you all set up. Okay, now in the event that you, I'm just resetting things. In the event that you did not see that #tools was in this list, you should be able to find one called base. If you automatically have base here, that's also okay. What we're going to do now is go back and actually create our conda environment. So make sure it says base here. If you can't find that, you're going to have to re-look into installing conda and getting it set up with VS Code. So I have a previous video on that, so go back and watch that one. But for now, if you do that, you can run this whole script, and that's going to open up your console down here. And in that console or terminal, those words are interchangeable, really. You should see it says base somewhere near the front of this little command prompty thing. And so once you have that, you can actually type the conda program in and just maximize this. What you should see if you type in conda and just hit enter, it will say, these are the options that are available to run conda with. And it says, this is the command. So this column is all the commands that you can run. And this is sort of a description of them. So for instance, what we're going to run is conda create to create a new conda environment. But there are all of these other things that you can do. So we're also going to do, installing things. You'll probably at some point want to list out what packages you have if you run into things. You can also remove or uninstall. So if you ever have sort of a jumbled mess of stuff and you want to pare it down, you can do things like that. For now, if you're in base, what you do is conda create -n is for -name, but let me just actually make this clear. You can always type with conda the command, so conda whatever command and then --help if you need to know what you're allowed to do with it. So this one spits out a bunch of stuff. It does give you the sort of most common use, which is conda create -n something and then packages. So let me walk through that really quickly. So conda create is just the command. You'll see -n. You see all of these dash things up here. So you can kind of go back and look, and you can see -n environment, or in longer fashion. So dash whatever letter is the short version, -- gives you the ability to use a long version. And so this is saying create environment with some name. Okay, so that excuse me. So that is what we wanted to do. So conda create -n #tools. I already have done this, so I'm going to just call this #tools video. And that will run some stuff, and it will try to tell you again where the environment will end up being located, but you can just go ahead and let it go in the default location. So then it says to activate this environment, use conda activate #tools. And then it also says to deactivate, use conda deactivate. So let's talk about how this works. So conda activate #tools video. That now sets this little front thing to be #tools video. And that means that we're going to use that Python installation that we just created. Now, if I do this, you'll see that if I just type Python, I get some Python command prompt, and I can do I can just exit out of that to leave it, but you can see we have a Python installation there. However, it only includes like the default stuff, and we already know that we're going beyond that because I talked about NumPy and matplotlib a little bit at the end of class on Thursday. So what you will do for now is conda install, and then you might want to just run that with --help to see what you're allowed to do. So again, it has all of these options. What you can look at is this thing where it says the probable way that you'll want to use it is conda install -n is saying which environment you want to put it into, and then the packages that get installed. And let me actually go up to the top here we go. So this is sort of the full template of what you can use with it up at the top. And it says conda install, and then it has all of these options, and each of those has a list down below. You'll see that if it has brackets, it's optional. And then finally, at the end, it has package spec, and then you can list multiple. So what does package spec mean? If you scroll down, positional in arguments says package spec is packages to install or update in the conda environment. So this is package spec, or whatever you list at the very end is what is going to be installed. So if we type conda install, and we could do -n _tools video, but we actually don't have to do that because we're already inside of this environment. So by default, conda will install things into the environment that you have activated. So, so you can go ahead and type this out, conda install numpy matplotlib, and we're going to add 2 more just to be safe, Jupyter and IPy kernel, where that one's all one thing. So I'll pause here just to, I'll make this one bigger so we can, just so you can, if you need to pause and type this out, go ahead. But I'll go ahead and run that then. And that will take a second. It does some, it needs to check out whether or not the packages you specified exist. It needs to look them up on the internet. And then it also needs to know what else it needs to install. So again, I'm going to scroll all the way up to the top. This is going to take me a second. But basically, it has some warnings, which are okay. But then it has this package plan, which is what we're going to do. And so it will even tell you where the environment you're installing into is. So in my case, we have has_tools video. And then it says we're going to add or update IPyKernel, Jupyter, and matplotlib, and finally NumPy, which is exactly what we want. But because these packages are not standalone, they rely on other things. Like for instance, NumPy is built on this thing called BLAS, and Jupyter relies on beautiful soup. And you don't need to know what all of these things are, but it's telling you these are going to get installed. So as you scroll through all these, you can see it's really an interconnected ecosystem. So once you get there, it will ask you to proceed, and the brackets around the Y mean that it's the default, so you don't have to enter anything, or you can just hit enter. You don't have to press Y and then enter, and then it's going to go ahead and do this thing called the transaction, which is actually installing the stuff. And so in my case, I already had everything kind of pre-downloaded to make this video shorter, and because I've run through this already. But what you'll see is it kind of, if you haven't done this before, it will go through, it will loop through all of these things, download and install them into your environment. So once you're done with this one, all we really wanted to do here was create that environment. So you can just kill that terminal. And now if you run Shift Enter, what you should see is where we were before. So you'll see here we have base, and here we still have base. So actually, let me go back. Let me close this. We need to Control-Shift-P, select interpreter. So I'll type that out before. Wait, so I killed the, okay. Python select, and then it should be in there. And we're going to set it at the workspace level. And now I just created has_tools video. So we're going to go ahead with that one. And there you go. It pops up there. And if I hit enter or Shift Enter to just run this little chunk of code, this should also be has_tools, whatever you called it. I recommend just has_tools. If it is not the same between these two, again, make sure that you update this one, has_tools video. Make sure you set it, and once you have done this, you are good to go with your Python installation. Okay, so then just as a side note, anytime you want to go ahead and uh, install new things into your conda environment, there are multiple ways to do this. But for now, what I suggest is just running that whole. So let me bring this down. In your Python script, go ahead and click the play button to run the whole Python file. That will bring you to this terminal, and that will have the environment you have selected activated. So once you're in there, you can conda install to your heart's content. And that's not a real package, but once you're in here, you can do that and you can start to modify your conda environment. So with that, you should be good to go, and make sure for the rest of class, you're always using your HASS tools environment. Okay, thanks for checking this out.